What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. I just want to focus in on the Detroit Red Wings season preview and what to expect from the team in Motown during the 2015-2016 season. Obviously, the Wings have undergone an off-season change. I mean, losing the guy behind the bench with Mike Babcock and replacing him with Jeff Blashill was a big move. Obviously, it's something they didn't want to see happen, but it is what it is. And Mike Babcock remembered fondly in Detroit. But it's Jeff Blashill show, and he's coached a lot of these guys, in the AHL, and it's been a big reason why a lot of them have developed the way they have, and I think it's really a testament to the organization, the Illich family, Kenny Holland, all those guys, that they, with despite losing one of the best coaches in the league, you can still remain, a top dog and a place where players want to go to play, and they've done a great job drafting and developing talent over the last few years to make that a reality. I see the Wings in the playoffs next year. Hashtag spoiler alert. I think that they will definitely keep the playoff streak alive. I like what the roster's made up of. They've got a good mix of veterans and young guys that can play. They've done a great job at drafting and developing, players in the organization. A lot of them, are knocking on the door. Look no further than Dylan Larkin, who we'll get to in a second. But, I like what they're doing here. Goaltending. Start off with the most important position. Ideally, I think they would like to trade Jimmy Howard, open up some cap room, and let Peter Mrazek take over as the number one. But it's tough. It's not an easy move to make. But just keep an eye on that. I think going into the season they'll split a lot, but it's an open competition, and Howard's on board with an open competition, so that's the way it should be. He's a competitor. He wants to be between the pipes, but obviously Mrazek is at a point where he wants to be between the pipes as well. So that's going to be a competition between two really motivated goalies, and it's going to be something that I think could be beneficial, really beneficial for the Wings when you think about it. So that's one thing. The two big free agent acquisitions, Brad Richards, excuse me. Mike Richards is in a tough spot right now. And Mike Green, if this were 2008, I'd be like, wow, the Wings would have had a great team already. And then you had, at that point, two of the elite players in the game. But, they can both contribute. I think Mike Green needs to stay healthy. And I think in the Wings system, I think he can do very, very well. We haven't seen him, be the Mike Green of those, 2008 to 2011 Capitals. But, we'll see how it works out, and maybe the change of scenery gets him on point where he's a 15, 20 goal scorer again. And Brad Richards won his second Stanley Cup last year, and even though he was had a limited role in Chicago, really excelled in that role, and I think can do a similar thing with the Red Wings. He's a guy I'm excited to see. I like watching Richards play. I remember watching him play with Tampa back in the day, and he's just a really cool guy to watch and a nice guy. I met him, so. It's FYI. Hashtag humble brag. As I say hashtag, like, teenage girl that's about to get a pumpkin spice latte and listen to a Luke Bryan album for the next 2 hours. Maybe a reality. Anyway, and again, the blue line outside of Green, obviously, you got, Danny DeKeyser, who I've been a fan of since his days at Western Michigan. I've liked Brendan Smith since he was at Wisconsin. And, Cronwall's Cronwall. But outside those guys, a lot of question marks. Still like Kendall, like Erickson a lot. We'll see. I know they signed Robbie Russo out of Notre Dame. I'd like to see what he can do. I'd love to see him get a chance. But the thing with the Wings is to keep the guys in the minors as long as possible. Let them get their minor league seasoning under them, and then and go from there. So that's one thing. Speaking of a guy who I don't think will get that much minor league season is Dylan Larkin, the University of Michigan product, the center who has excelled everywhere he's ever played. Michigan native, grew up a Red Wings fan. I mean, in so many ways, it's almost destiny that he'll suit up for the Wings. I think he starts at the end of the minors. So I hope he stays in them. I'm not going to root for a kid to stay in the minors, but I want him on the U.S. World Junior team as a biased American. So that's one thing to definitely keep an eye on. Is will they veer from their traditional path of developing prospects where you have to do a minimum of like 2 or 3 years in the minors before you even sniff the NHL. But with Pavel Datsyuk and Zetterberg and Johan Franzen, guys like that getting older up front, having the ability to have a guy like this step in and possibly be there, not going to say replacement, if you don't replace a world class player like a Datsyuk, like a Zetterberg, but kind of serve a similar capacity, let's call it. So that's one thing I'm going to keep an eye on, over the next couple of years. But this year is going to be exciting. I think you'll see him in the NHL this year, over under 9.5 games. You know how the junior age scale works. So, and again, it's been a long time since they've had a teenager in the lineup in Detroit. So, patience is a virtue, but I think this kid can play right away. Speaking of patience being a virtue, Gustav Nyquist spent his time in the minors, and was in Grand Rapids for a hot minute, and he's turned into an elite player. That's one of the better goal scorers the Wings have in the lineup. So that's something to keep an eye on. I like watching Nyquist play. I like watching him play up at University of Maine. So it's good to see him doing his thing. But I mean, I look at all these guys on the roster and how many of them actually have had to do minor league seasoning. A lot of it. And it's a long list. So, if Larkin does have to spend time in the minors, he's in good company for one, and there's no shame in that. Doing development period in the AHL can work wonders for players. And especially with an organization like the Red Wings that's class personified in so many levels. I mean, you can't say enough good things about the way this organization has been run, the players in the organization, the coaching staffs, front office, management. They've really done a great job over the last 2.5 decades of being, one of the most well-respected organizations in all sports. And having guys like Pavel Datsyuk who are all class at the forefront is a big reason why. And, as a guy who grew up watching Datsyuk play a lot, knowing that he's towards the end is like, damn, this guy he's a hell of a player. He'll be inducted in the Hall of Fame one day, but it's still like, the faces on Detroit change. You go from having an Yzerman or a Fedorov and Nick Lidstrom, and then it turns over, but the success keeps coming. It's almost like it's a lot like the New England Patriots or the San Antonio Spurs, where the players change, but the success and the commitment to excellence is always there. To borrow the Oakland Raiders' old thing, the Oakland Raiders organization should be committed in general, but the old Al Davis line commitment to excellence, it really does apply to the Red Wings. Everything about them is great, and you just you have to play a certain way and do things in their system in order to be a member of the team, and you have to love and respect that, and that's why I think they will make the playoffs in 2016. Anyway, that's our episode of the Power Play with CJ. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.